Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Les habla Lilia Galindo, tengo al señor Thomas Elias, está vía telefónica. Él es un analista político que escribe 2 veces a la semana aquí en el Antelope Valley. Tiene columnas 2 veces a la semana y en muchos otros periódicos de California. Vamos a dar la bienvenida. Good morning, Tom.
Buenos días, Lilia.
Buenos días. Do you know how everything is going over there? Are you hot?
You wanted to talk today about Biden and Harris a little bit, so let's talk about that a little bit. Kamala Harris is about to go tomorrow to the border. She was criticized for waiting so long to visit the border, but the people who criticize her, of course, they forget that she visited the border many times while she was a senator and while she was Attorney General of California. She was there almost constantly when she was Attorney General. She knows the border pretty well. But the Republicans are saying she's only going because tomorrow also Trump is going to the border with the governor of Texas. And these are both two of the most anti-immigrant people on the planet. They're these two Republicans. So the Republicans are saying that Harris is only doing this because of them. But the thing is, that when she goes to the border, it's going to put a spotlight on the fact that some of the Trump policies that the Democrats ran against, that they said were terrible policies, they're still policies. The government hasn't changed the Trump policies, which they could have changed just by signing a name. Mm-hmm. One of these is Title 42, which turns away immigrants who want asylum if they have even the slightest illness. And Trump imposed this at the beginning of the pandemic. It was a great excuse to keep people from getting into the United States when they have a right to apply for asylum. And it forced them to wait in Mexico, and they were very much taken advantage of. A lot of people have been while waiting in Mexico. It hasn't been a good life for them. So the Biden administration has not ended that policy, and they've said that the policy might end soon. But Biden wants to keep the border closed, and so does Harris, almost as much as Trump did. I mean, it was Harris who went to Guatemala City and said, do not come to the poorest people in Latin America. Nobody in the Trump administration said that.
Okay, let me translate all that. Mm-hmm. Estamos hablando de el presidente Biden y la vicepresidenta Harris. La vicepresidenta va a ir mañana a la frontera, va a visitar la frontera. Ya saben, fue criticada terriblemente porque no había ido a la frontera, a pesar de que ella ha estado muchas veces en la frontera lidiando con los problemas de inmigración como abogada general de California y también como senadora, pero obviamente como vicepresidenta no había estado. Y se supone que también mañana va a estar en la frontera el expresidente Trump, acompañado del gobernador de Texas, que son las dos personas más anti-inmigración. Do you know now that you say that Trump and the governor of Texas are anti-immigration, and it's the people who has benefit the most of immigrants, employees and etc. But let me continue that. Hold on a second. Dice, pero la política que estableció el presidente Trump de no aceptar a nadie bajo el título 42 de asilo, si estaban enfermos pues con esta pandemia, si estaban enfermos no se les podía dejar pasar y los dejaban entonces ahí esperando en México, donde por supuesto que no han tenido una muy buena vida. Así es que pues vamos a ver qué sucede. Now you can continue, please.
Yeah, okay, so we continue. What we have is a real conflict in policy with the Biden administration and the Harris. Harris is very much part of the Biden administration, and it's a big challenge for them because they want to keep large numbers of people from coming to America from Central America and Mexico. But at the same time, they promise to treat everybody who does come with humanity, and they'll treat them more fairly, they say, than Trump did, and they'll be kinder to them. Well, when you promise people you're going to be fair to them and you're going to treat them in a humane manner, that encourages them to come. And yet at the same time, you're telling them not to come. So this is a real contradiction in policy. It hasn't been resolved yet. We don't know how it's going to be resolved.
Bueno, dice lo que en su punto de vista hay un conflicto en la política del presidente Biden y de la vicepresidenta Harris, porque cuando la vicepresidenta Harris fue a Guatemala les dijo no vengan a los Estados Unidos. Se trata de desarrollar un programa para apoyar a los países para que no tengan que salir las gentes hacia acá. Y mientras que el presidente Biden y Harris dice que hay que tratar a los inmigrantes con humanidad, y con más gentileza y más justicia, pues eso, dice Tom, eso es lo que incita a los inmigrantes a venirse para acá, pero entonces dice es una política contradictoria, ¿verdad? Porque por un lado dices que los vas a tratar mejor y por otro lado le dices que no vengan, entonces hace una situación muy difícil. Are there many people coming now?
Well, there are people coming now, yes, but they're being sent back, most of them. If you have a legitimate claim for asylum, they're allowing you to wait for your hearing within the United States. But the conflict that you see in the Biden and the Biden-Harris policy and their rhetoric is typical of politicians. You have to remember the Democrats are politicians too, and politicians lie all the time. For instance, just yesterday, the governor of California got caught in a very big lie. Last year, in 2020, before the fire season started, he bragged that California, the government had taken measures to mitigate and lessen the risk of wildfires damage in 90,000 acres all around California, in the worst places of danger for fires. Well, it turns out now that it was only about 11,000 acres that they mitigated. And he knew that those numbers that he was giving were exaggerated, but he did it anyway to make himself look good. And that's a politician lying. It's just plain and simple, it's a lie that he got caught in. And if he does get recalled, that'll be one reason why. I promise you. And so we see that the Biden administration lies too. They say one thing from one side of their mouth, and they do the opposite.
Bueno, dice, ahora nos está hablando también, dice, de que esta política contradictoria les va a traer muchos problemas. Dice, es típico de los políticos de todos los partidos que mienten todo el tiempo. Dice, por ejemplo, ayer descubrieron al gobernador Newsom de una gran mentira que dijo. Dijo que el gobierno estaba tomando todas las medidas para mitigar y reducir el riesgo de fuego en aproximadamente 90,000 acres. Dice, y resulta que lo que se ha hecho solamente son 11,000 acres, y que él sabía de esa información y que de todos modos la mantuvo así. Dice, yo creo que si le hacen el recall, o sea, que lo quitaran del gobierno, pues esa sería una de las razones que le darían. Maybe do you think that Biden should be more specific and say, well, we are going to treat better and be more humanitarian with the people who is already here waiting for asylum, but not for all the other people coming.
Yeah, he needs to be more specific, and he needs to be more truthful. When the Republicans lie, Democrats criticize them immediately. When Trump lied, and Trump lied all the time, and he was criticized every day for a different lie, seemed like, while he was president. Well, if we're going to do that to the Republicans, then we have to be critical of the Democrats too. Remember, for every politician, regardless of what party they're in, they'll say anything if it helps them stay in office longer.
Yeah, that's...
And I've been covering politics for 50 years, And I've learned that it doesn't matter what party a politician is. It does matter, I mean. But when it comes to telling the truth, it doesn't matter. Politicians of all parties lie, and they lie all the time, and you can't tell just by listening when they're lying. You actually have to check out what they say.
Tom, time is gone. I'm going to translate this, and we have to go. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you, Lilia. It's fun.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. Hasta la vista. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bueno, rápidamente, lo que nos dijo es que todos los partidos dicen mentiras para favorecer sus intereses, así como se criticaba al presidente Trump por todas las mentiras que decía, por cierto, decía todos los días mentiras, todos los días, a todas horas. Pero también tenemos que criticar a los otros partidos cuando dicen alguna mentira. Y yo creo que es válido. Bueno, pues vamos a despedirnos. Les agradecemos mucho que hayan estado con nosotros esta mañana. Los esperamos mañana con la doctora Talía Baños, que nos hablará de México Avanza. México Avanza. Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Hasta la vista. En live.
Para cualquier persona mayor de 12 años en el A.B. Fairgrounds. Ofrecemos citas el mismo día y también aceptamos visitas sin cita. Si necesitan transporte, ABCA lo ofrece gratis. La vacuna es la clave para volver a muchas de nuestras actividades.
Súbele un poquito al volumen, por favor.
Más información en cityoflancasterca.org/vaccine. Gracias a nuestros patrocinadores High Desert Medical Group, Kaiser Permanente y Antelope Valley Hospital.
Hey, ¿tuviste un accidente? ¿Te lastimaste y no le has llamado al abogado Ángel Campano? Llámale ahora mismo al 661-945-5300. Él ha sido elegido por 2 años consecutivos como el mejor abogado del Valle del Antílope. Su número 661-945-5300, 661-945-5300. Ángelo Campano, el abogado en quien la comunidad confía.
Cambié el aceite de mi automóvil y voy a derramarlo. Y después de eso, me iré para siempre.
No sabes que lo que derrames de nuestro valle queda en el valle y puede dañar nuestro medio ambiente. La ciudad de Palmdale nos recuerda que fácilmente se puede reciclar por gratis. Todo lo que tienes que hacer es llamar a 888-CLEAN-LA o 888-253-2652.
888-CLEAN-LA. Lo haré, no por ti, por nuestro medio ambiente. Después me iré.
Patrocinado por fondos de Cal Recycle.
El anterior fue un programa pagado